Hello, my name is Gretchen Ivy, and I am an IELTS instructor at the West London Tuition Academy. So what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about two past tenses in English. We have what we call the simple past, and we also have what's called the past continuous. And there are others, but we're going to stick with these two today and go through the differences of them. Okay, simple past and past continuous. You might also know this is the past progressive. That's also called this as well. Okay, now, why are we learning different past tenses for the IELTS exam? Well, for your writing, if you ever have to write a narrative, if you ever have to describe something that happened in the past in the writing portion of your exam, the better command you have of the past tenses in English, better off you're going to be. It will make your writing sound a lot more creative, a lot more dynamic. It'll be a lot more interesting. Your sentences will be more complex. And examiners like to read things that are more interesting, more complex, and are more dynamic. Okay, so our simple past. Simple past we used to talk about things that started and ended in the past, okay, or facts in the past. So we have here some examples. I went to the cinema yesterday. Okay, so started and completed in the past. I always visited my grandparents in my summer holidays when I was little. Okay, so something that was repeated quite often in the past, you will use the simple past. Okay, last one. I lived in Liverpool for a couple of years. Okay, so that, even though that is a long duration of time in the past, it was started and completed, even though it was over several years. So that is something that we would use the simple past for. Okay, so past continuous is a little bit different. Now, one of the most common areas that you use past continuous in is what they call interrupted actions. Okay, something was happening and another action came along and interrupted it. All right, I was watching TV when the phone rang. So this first part of that sentence is in the past continuous. The second part of that sentence, if you notice, is in the simple past, and that is a very, very common construction. So I was watching TV, highlighting that there, when, I'll put this in a different color, the phone rang. First part, the ongoing action is in the past continuous. The interrupting action is in the simple past. Again, last night at 7 p.m., I was having dinner. Okay, so last night at 7 p.m., this is a specific time, but it was ongoing in the past. I was having my dinner. While she was doing her homework, her brother was playing football. Okay, again, she was doing her homework, and her brother was playing football. Both of those actions are going on in the past. One has interrupted the other, but both are ongoing. Okay, now this sounds a little bit confusing. Don't worry, we're going to go into next just some specifics, some basics about the past continuous, which is how you form it. So if you do not have much experience with the continuous tenses in the present tense or the past tense, this is how it's formed. Now, there are positive, there are negative, and there are questions. And I'll show you some examples of each one. So our formula for your positive sentences, meaning, things that when you say anything that happened rather than didn't happen. We have our subject, which is indicated by the letter S here. So we have our subject, we've got a different color. Plus the past tense form of the verb to be. Now that in the past tense, that is going to be was or were, plus your verb ending in ing. Okay. If you've ever worked with the present continuous tense, it's very similar, except the form of to be is now in the past tense. So our example here is she was cooking all morning. Okay, ongoing action in the past. Our negatives, a little bit different, not too difficult. Again, we have our subject plus, again, the past tense form of the verb to be, our negative word, meaning not, or didn't, or don't, something, and the verb ending in ing. So, she was not sleeping when he came home. All right, so we have not indicating the negative. Then questions. Again, questions are formed a bit differently in English because quite often the verb comes before the subject. And here is no exception. We have our past tense form of to be. Then we have our subject and our verb ending in ing. Was she sleeping when he came home? Okay, so it's asking a question. All right, so we're going to move on. Here are some examples of each, some positives, some negatives, and some questions. I won't go through every last one of these, but it will be here on the video if you want to go back and refer to these. You were watching television last night. They were studying math yesterday. I was washing the dishes when the phone rang. There's an interrupted action. As she was reading the book, Alice came. It was raining yesterday evening. Okay, our negative sentences. You were not watching television last night. They were not studying math yesterday. So here we have were not, indicating our negative. I was not washing the dishes when the phone rang. Okay, and then our questions. Here we have the verb again before the subject. Were you watching television last night? Were they studying math yesterday? Was I washing the dishes when the phone rang? It's a rather odd question, but okay. Now, other uses of the past continuous. So we've already talked about an interrupted action in the past. So we see here our example sentence. Just circle that. They were waiting for the train when I spoke to them. Okay, they were waiting, you were speaking to them is the action that interrupts. Again, we've also talked about past habits, something that was done habitually in the past. We use the past continuous. My mom was always complaining about my room when she got there. Okay, always, yeah, my mom too. Okay, but if she was always doing it in the past, we would tend to use the past continuous. We have something called parallel actions. I was studying while my brother was watching TV. Both are ongoing in the past. So one isn't interrupting the other. They're both going on at the same time, but both ongoing, and you can use the past continuous for both. I was watching while my brother was watching TV. I was eating dinner while my mother was cleaning the kitchen. Okay, parallel actions all going on at the same time. Now we have specific time as an interruption. Last night at 6 p.m., I was eating my dinner. Okay, so we have a specific time stated, but you can still use the past continuous because that specific time is kind of interrupting the action. Okay, then we have a series of parallel actions. So several things going on at the same time in the past and ongoing. When I came to school, the school bell was ringing. Many students were running towards the garden. Teachers were going out from the classroom. So this sounds like the start of a narrative, a story, and quite often you will see a lot of past continuous in narrative stories. But all these actions are kind of going on at the same time and ongoing in the past. No definitive end date or time. Emphasis on a length of action. Okay, so I was working in the garden all day. She was preparing the meal all morning. So these things that continue like throughout, like, for the entire duration of a specific time, you can use the past continuous. Okay, it just gives a little bit more emphasis rather than saying, I worked in the garden all day. Oh, I was working in the garden all day. It just sounds a bit more descriptive. Story background, again, lots of stories begin with the continuous. While I was driving to work yesterday, there was an accident on the motorway. And then an arrangement in the past. I was upset because I was leaving this place that morning. Okay, so these are all examples of when we can use the past continuous. All right, so let's have some practice. Okay, we won't go through all of these, but you can, this is just practicing forming past continuous. And then we have the word watch TV when she, and then we have a call. So this looks like an interrupted action. So one of these is going to be in the past continuous, and one of these is going to be in the simple past. So we want to form the past continuous in that first one. Remember, our past tense, we have our subject already there, which is I. Then we need the past tense form of the verb to be, which is going to be, in this case, was. Your verb in ing, watching. TV, here. Put this over to the side. I was watching TV when she called. Now remember, that is going to be in the past tense. Okay. Let's look further down. Let's look at H. While the teacher, and we have talk in brackets, he looked outside. Again, these are kind of parallel actions. These two seem like they're going on at the same time. So we could say, while the teacher was talking, he was looking outside. So that is an example of parallel action, two actions going on at the same time, both using the present continuous. Okay, let's try one more. And then you have these on the video that you can practice. When let's look at M. When the verb is to see in brackets, her, she stand at the bus stop. Okay, so this one is kind of inverted. We wouldn't say when I was seeing her, she was standing at the bus stop. We would put the first one in the simple past. When I saw her, she was standing at the bus stop. Okay. Again, you have the rest of these sentences that you can practice forming the past continuous and trying to figure out what form of, what type of past continuous sentence they are. Are they interrupted? Are they parallel actions? Are they ongoing? Are they repetitive? Okay, so this, again, is designed to help you with the writing portion of your IELTS exam, making better sentences, making better descriptions of the past. I hope you have found this very useful and helpful. If you would like to join our online IELTS course, please do respond to the email on the YouTube page or the WhatsApp number. Please do subscribe to the channel. We will be loading more and more videos as we go on. Thank you again, everybody. Good luck, and I hope to see you in future tutorials.